Stick around if you want to know how you can improve your visual effects execution. Normally, whenever I had sound effects for my games, just like everyone else, I just slapped on an audio source and called it a day. But what if I wanted a bit more control? What if I was making a tower defense game and there are many towers on the screen, and each of them wanted to play a sound of them shooting? Hi, I'm Nathaniel, and welcome to the 4th devlog about remaking my old game from scratch in Unity. If you like what I do and you end up enjoying the video, subscribe and hit the bell icon. It helps me a huge ton. Let's get started. For those of you who have been following the devlogs, you would know that the brick textures look rather pale for bricks. In all honesty, the previous brick block model was really messy and I desperately wanted to redo it. I then opened up the original game by Namco and got the hex colors from the image using a website, put them into a procedural brick texture in Blender, baked the texture, and finally brought them all back into Unity. Comparing the two textures, I believe this new one works way better. It even looks good with the outline shader, and I'm really pleased with it and how it turned out. Comment down below on what you think about this new texture. Following that, I added a simple cracking texture to the blocks, where each crack is a percentage of the health, which honestly took me way longer to figure out how to do, but I got it done, and it looks fantastic. This next question came to me as I was developing an old procedural tower defense game of mine. You can try it out for yourself, by the way, link in the description. The question simply was, how do I limit how many sound effects can be played? Unity might have a way of doing so, I'm not quite sure, but to me, this problem was easily solved with a list, and here's how to do it. Create a script. Call it whatever you want. I'm calling mine Effects Manager. In this script, we'll create a list and an integer variable. This integer will dictate how many actively playing sounds do we want in the game. Then we create a function that takes in an audio clip, and some settings like where to play this sound and what settings do we play the sound with. I created a struct for the settings of the audio source, but you can do it however you want. Then I created a class to hold the reference to each playing sound. When the audio ticket is created, it has the length of the audio clip, reference to the in-world object and the effects manager. We'll see why later. Thereafter, create a function that deducts the clip length variable and check to see if it's time to remove the ticket. Removing the ticket itself is pretty straightforward. Just destroy the in-world object and remove the ticket from the list. In the update method of the effects manager, check if there are any tickets, and call the method in the audio ticket. Next, check to see if the list has more tickets than our stipulated amount in the method that created the audio ticket. If not, go ahead and add it to the list of audio tickets. Alright, so let's give this a shot. I've set this to 0 for now, so if we hear any sound effects, we will immediately know that something is wrong with our code. And lo and behold, we do not get any sound effects. Cool. Let me just turn off my level manager so don't get any distractions. Now let's increase this to 1. Oh, we're getting sound effects now. And if I also spam it, seems like the sound effect is only playing after the first one has finished. So they're not overlapping each other. If I increase this to 2, we should get some overlapping. Yep. And we get the sound effects from the bricks too. Not as often as we would, because, well, there's only 2 effects we played at once. So let's increase this to 5. So now we're getting majority of the effects now. Very cool. Now this limits how many sound effects we want playing. But what if we wanted some sounds to have a higher priority than the others, meaning we prefer them to be played over the other sounds? Well, while I was developing this, I thought that I could have 3 different lists and a for loop that loops through each of the lists to play the sounds. But 3 for loops? In the update method? Nah. My father then instead suggested that I use a queue. A queue, if you didn't already know, is a type of ordered list where you can only add contents at the back of the list and remove them from the front, much like a queue of people waiting to order food. I then attempted to produce this audio priority functionality, and I must say I don't think it worked at all, but here's how I did it anyway. First, I created an audio clip priorities enum. Then I created 3 queues that correspond to them. I then updated the update method to DQ the tickets from high to low every frame. I thought that it was not necessary to DQ every ticket in one frame, because it felt like overkill. After that, I updated the play sound method to place the tickets in the right priority. Finally, I shifted the call to when the clips plays into the ticket itself, and when it's called for the first time by the update method in the manager script, it will play the sound. Let's see this priority in action. It kinda works, but not really. The player is definitely overtaking at some points, but not always. It's probably because of the way I did it. Currently, playing sounds take up space in the list, so even though it's at high priority, we can't exactly DQ it into a list that's more than the stipulated sound effects limit. So no matter the size of the list, if a queue is full, high priority still cannot move in, which is quite a bummer. I couldn't exactly cut off an already playing sound, so I've decided to let it be since it kind of works, and just decided to add an absolute priority that just plays the sound without going through the ticket system. I mainly use this priority for the things that player does. All in all, I thought it was a great attempt. I might have failed to accomplish it the way I wanted it to, but I'll leave this to future me. The particle effects were quite simple to create. All I did was create an icosphere in Blender and brought it into Unity. I then used the same cell shading material from the Toon Shader video 2 weeks ago to keep the style consistent. Overall, the game is looking a lot fresh than its ancestor. Next week, I'll be adding the winning and losing states to the game to finally put a minimum viable product out, so that it can stay on itch.io. So stay tuned. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe button, it helps me a huge ton. As always, thank you for watching and have a nice day.